What? It's week 8.
Do it before the Bandicam crashes.
Yo, that's so ball. Okay, what's going on, guys? Aggronix, and welcome back to Week 8. Okay. Week 8 of the ElysianUCL. Today we jump in, and we're going to talk about all the battles that took place today, and people's chances of making playoffs, which is going to be pretty interesting. This season is almost over. There's only 2 games left for each coach, and the playoff hopes either pretty high or pretty low. We're going to see what teams have to do to get to where they need to be to make playoffs. Remember, guys, the top 3 in each conference makes it, so even, if you're 4th right now, that could all change within a week or 2. So we're going to go into it. So Pant is number 16 in the power rankings. He had to forfeit this week because he was working, so I don't think we have to say anything about Pant. Pant can't make playoffs, so we're good. North played Swishy, I believe. Swishy 4-0'd North, apparently, right?
Yes.
Yes. I didn't see the battle, so I can't really critique it as much. Joey, did you see it?
I did. North didn't really have much to break through stall.
Yeah.
He played a little poor there, but I think
really, their management couldn't break through stall.
He just keeps using it wrong. He keeps going for superpower earthquake instead of flare blitzing right away.
Yeah. You just click flare blitz over and over again. Like even Lantern doesn't want to take that.
Right.
So we'll see what happens with it. I mean, people want North to win a battle, and hey, people predicted Steven to win a battle, and he did. Thank God, Steven. So we'll see if North wins one. I feel like he should. His last 2 battles are against.
He plays Frank next week, so I think that might be his best.
That might be his best chance, and then he plays Sorensen, I believe.
6 pass.
Sorry.
He can actually ruin 6 pass playoff.
Please,
but we'll get into that. We'll get into that later. We'll get into that later. We have Sherbrooke Talonflames, Frank, who we played in week 4. I still think their team is great. They have Jirachi, Slowbro. Unfortunately, they did lose to Sorensen and his Calm Minding Keldeo, I believe. He Calm Minded, I'm sure. Keldeo is definitely a threat, and with him having Chansey. Slowbro was the only thing on his team that really walled it, but even Slowbro doesn't have the greatest special defense. And after a Calm Mind, it was doing a decent amount. Actually, I'm pretty sure Slowbro was dead before it even came in. So he had the chance to whittle down his team with the Toxicroak, but I think he just got a little too greedy.
Yeah, he seems to send out Toxicroak way too early. I think he should leave that in the back for later.
What I think he should have done is just, he had the Focus Sash intact when he was at +2, and then he was at +3. Then you just start taking stuff out.
Yeah, you're just hitting stuff for damage until he dies, or save it later.
And that just rips a hole into his team, and then he's playing catch up against you. Even though you might be down, 6-5, he's got a whole bunch weaker than you, and then he's got to play. You got to play reactively at that point, and he's got to think about stuff a little harder.
And then you send out your fucking extra drill and start iron heading everything. Dun.
All right, next up, Zen, South Florida Celebes.
By the way, guys, if Joey and Steven were very quiet there, I'm sorry, I think I've just fixed that. South Florida Celebes, Zen played Steven this week. Steven coming through! 2-0 victory against Zen. I don't think Zen did anything wrong, he just didn't have anything for the late game. Steven was able to take out the main threats, being Sharpedo was a huge threat to Steven's team that, thankfully, because of his sick plays with the Intimidate Solomons, he was able to minus its attack and then go into Scizor and U-turn it. Even though he did swap out. But I think U-turn definitely, actually Scizor in general, helped out Steven, and he didn't really have a lot of counters to Steven other than Chandelure. But Chandelure doesn't want to swap in. If he had HP Fire on Chandelure, Sharpedo, he probably would have won. I feel like he really might have won. But
the thing about his team is that he's kind of accepted that he's not going to make playoffs, so he's going to bring a lot more fun sets.
Yeah.
And those fun sets are still, viable in this draft league.
Swords Dance Baton Pass is scary as fuck.
Yeah, I mean, that Celebi is something that you have to, either one-shot, otherwise it's getting a, boosting move and passing it off somewhere. And then, a Swords Dance to a Mega Metagross, have fun, dealing with that.
Yeah.
Or, he's going to Swords Dance and pass it off to his Sharpedo, and your Intimidate user happens to be 4 times weak
to ice, and he hits you with a special attacking ice move that you don't see coming. I mean,
well, actually, Steven did see that coming, but he was sending in the elements to die. But it's still, yeah, like Sharpedo definitely could have swept, but his Scizor on the back.
There's that, and then there's you know, he had. This is the second week now where he has Toxic Whirlpool Miltank to just.
Oh, did he bring that? You see, he got paralyzed, so it never actually did anything.
Yeah, I mean, he brings that twice, and you know that's going to catch something if he, and then if you're preparing for that specific Miltank and it's a completely different one, you know, you have to bring a specific thing to counter that.
Yeah.
And if he doesn't bring that, now you have one useless thing and 5 other things to cover against a team of 6 that's prepared to counter yours. So while he can't make playoffs, he is still like, you can't overlook him because he's like a cornered animal. He's got nothing to lose and he's looking to take someone down with him.
Yeah. That's very, very true. I have something I want to say in a second, actually. I just got something. But we'll move on. To Steven, who beat Zen. Not much to say because we actually just said everything there. Steven's Scizor was very, very good. I think Steven's team is, honestly, I'm not bullshitting you. I think his team is great. I really, really do. He played his Cresselia perfectly with the Metagross. Crit Ice Punch Freeze was pretty funny. But thank God.
I legitimately shit.
Yeah, he thought it was over. It was funny if that actually cost him. But I think Steve played great, and Sharpedo could have stopped him, but Kecleon actually proved to be a little more scary than it should have been. But
again, another thing that makes Zen dangerous. But what I like about Steven is he's not trying to overthink it, and I think, you know,
that's what won him the game. I feel like
the experience that he's going to gain from this, and I think just settling down because you know he wasn't here in the beginning when we were all nerves going into our games, and now we're a little more calm going into these games.
Oh yeah, like definitely.
And he's still at that like start of the season jitter. So now that it seems to be settling a little more, he's a lot more dangerous as a player.
Yeah, and Steve, season 3 is your season. I'm just saying. So Jay and the Konoha Munchlax, they won this. No, they lost.
They lost.
They lost to Kraft.
Let me check.
Kraft, I believe, yeah.
I believe it was Kraft.
Yeah, so they played Kraft. Kraft beat him 3-0, 4-0, I can't remember. I did watch the game. 3-0, yes, thanks.
3-0.
I did watch the game, and there was a little bit of hacks. You know, his Gliscor getting critical hitted. The first turn it was out by Hoop Unbound. I believe it was a HP Ice or something. I don't think I don't think it mattered, but
I don't think many of the hacks mattered. I think
yeah.
I just don't think Jay brought the kind of innovation that he brought at the beginning of the season.
Yeah, like special Entei. He was bringing, you know, Metal Burst Layer on to just kill things. You know, he was doing that, but now he's starting to play safer, and it's not his style.
Yeah, I mean, he was rocking a Hitmonchan for God's sakes, and now he's trying to play it safe, and you know, his team is a bunch of lower tier stuff, so you can't really play that safe. You gotta use those lower tiers, throw in some surprise, and he still has a chance to make playoffs, and I think we're going to talk about that at the end of the video, right?
Yeah, we will, yeah. So we move on. The Corkscrew Trinity is the best team in the league. I fortunately lost to Joey 4-0, but I'm not too upset about it. Now I know what Joey's team does, which before I didn't. I did know, but I didn't know how severe it was. Obviously, the team matchup was very, very unfortunate, and there was a little bit of hacks. Don't think a lot of it mattered. But it was pretty hard to take. I'm not too worried about it though. I think we're still okay. We'll get into that in a while.
Yeah, we'll go over the playoffs.
And even if Superior just had 13%, I could have swapped out on the Stealth Rocks and kept it, but it did go down to 12%. And if it just, because that was a high roll, I did the calc. That was a high roll. Your thing was Modest Choice Specs, right?
Yes.
Yeah, that was a high roll. So it was really annoying. Unfortunately, you did get a high roll. And if you got a low roll, I killed your Jolteon. I could have saved it for later, but that's whatever. Kentucky Frackin' Buskins. Doric?
Yeah, they got the forfeit loss, so I can't put them high, even though they're second place, because they didn't do anything. And
I guess.
I mean, I threw together a team and just tested it against him, and I managed to 1-0 it, which I don't know how great of a battler Pant is, because I've only seen him battle once.
Yeah.
But, I mean, if I just throw something together randomly and I'm able to take down your team that's prepped for this, I mean,
that's not looking good.
It's not as great as it would be. So, but I think the power rankings aren't as important as being in those top 3 spots at the end of the season. So I don't think it'll bother him much.
Yeah, no, it shouldn't. It shouldn't. Like he's still second in his conference. So moving on to number 8, Swishy, the Green Bay Giggling Gorgeist, a win over North, which was pretty good. Swishy proved that her stall game does work sometimes. And
she's 4-3 right now with this 4 differential, which puts her 3 above you and 3 below Bloom.
So she's just between. Like she can make playoffs if she wanted.
Yeah, she's still in the playoff race as well. We'll talk about it later, but right now, 4th place in the Aqua Conference is 3 teams with a 4-3 record, and each of you are separated by 3 differential, except for you and Bloom, which is obviously 6.
Yeah. So
it goes 1, 4, and 7 with the differential.
Yeah, it's pretty close. Steve, I can hear my voice in the thing. Put the headphones on. You're good. Good, yeah. Long Night Roughly Riders, coached by Cubchew. Unfortunately, they lost a 1-0 to Zach, which I watched, which was crazy match. Ditto almost brought it back, which was pretty amazing. I had no idea Ditto was that scary. But unfortunately, he did suffer a loss. While it was narrow, it still is a loss, and that will be very, very annoying for him to come back from it.
It is, but he's got that one game out of the way that was,
the bad week.
Is most likely to be a loss, and I think his next 2 weeks.
And the fact he brought it so close, that's almost makes it okay.
I mean, he cut down his differential. That could be a lot worse than it actually turned out to be. And his of his next 2 weeks, he can just win, and then he'll be in. I'm certain on that. So
it'll be interesting to see if Cubchew can beat his next 2 opponents, which I feel like he might, but we'll see what happens with that.
He should be able to. He's shown that he can do it. So.
Definitely. Anyone could do it on any day. Kentucky Kaboot Tops 6 pads. Once again, if you guys don't know, I beat 6 pads in week 6, and I was super excited about... Wait, sorry, week 7? No, week 6.
Week 7. Week 7.
Are you sure? Oh, yeah, week 7.
6.
I beat him week 7, and I was ecstatic about it in 6 pads. Obviously, he had nothing to worry about. It was just 1 loss. He should be fine. But he lost again to Bloom this week, and that really puts him in a bad spot. He drops from 1st in the Aqua, I believe, to 3rd, which is still okay. He still makes playoffs of his own.
He was still on 3rd because he never had a really good differential, but he was 1st in the power rankings. He lost, even though Bloom brought synchronized Alakazam instead of Magic Guard with Focus Sash, that somehow actually helped out Bloom because the Alakazam got the burn, and it synchronized the burn onto Vaporeon and took down 6-Path's last wall, and then that made it...
Oh, what the hell? I hadn't even actually watched that battle. I should watch that battle after this.
That battle is insane, but Bloom did manage to win, so that means that he has to play well for the next 2 weeks to ensure his spot in conference. So
it'll be interesting. It'll be interesting to see if he can pull it off.
We'll go over it later.
Manchester Skitties, coached by Kraft. Once again, like I said, he beat Jay this week. A pretty good win, 3-0, pretty demanding win, and Kraft has shown that he's definitely one of the top in the Magma division. Whether he make playoffs is obviously still up for debate, but it's be interesting to talk about it. Guys, what do you think? What's right?
He's 3rd now, isn't
He's, I believe, 3rd.
He's 3rd. Yes, he's 3rd. He has a very tough schedule coming up against 2 teams.
Yeah, he plays Zach and Cubchew, right?
Yes, he does. So that's
top 2, basically.
So he's getting tested this entire time.
Yeah. There's never a break for him. We'll move on to the Philadelphia Flygons, the before-mentioned Blue. What's that?
Speaking of no breaks.
No breaks, exactly.
Yeah. They play you next week, and then they play Saurus in the final week.
So
both of them have to win. So start with week 8 through week 10. Every game is like a season ender if they lose. One lot. Like I've already lost one of my games, so I'm not too hopeful. But you know what?
Bloom
You're
definitely.
You're in the same position as Bloom.
I am the exact same position, except the differential is a little better for him. Bloom was able to beat 6 pads, which was obviously huge for him. It kept him in the hopes, even though I think if he lost, he would still be somewhat in the running as long as everything went his way. But Bloom plays.
You would have a lot of luck, but we'll go over it.
We'll go over in a second.
It'll make more sense later.
Yeah. Bloom plays me next week, which will be very, very interesting to see how us on basically the same level, not in terms of battling or even team prep, as in terms of like score. And then you face.
Make sure you tune in next week.
Make sure you tune in for week 9. That'll be the decider on whether something happens or not.
That's
Season-
great for you, really.
Yeah. And then he plays.
One person's season comes to an end.
Yeah. That
Make sure you
definitely.
watch the drama.
Oh my God, you're right. It's either me or Bloom is basically out.
Yeah. Make sure
Holy shit!
I
Oh
know.
my God!
Great.
Why did you say that? I'm gonna lose now.
Great entertainment right there. Great entertainment. Make
Oh
sure
my
you-
God!
You should just put the
One of us is gonna be out.
the title of the vision, the decision.
The decision. Steven, is that a metaphor to an old video? Maybe. But Bloom then plays Sorsen, which would be very, very interesting to see as well. If he could knock off Sorsen, that would actually be great for everyone.
I mean, we'll see. We'll go over the playoffs afterwards, and things will make a little more sense. But number 3 is Sorensen.
Oh yeah. Take it away.
He got the win over Frank. It was a nice 4-0. He took it. I don't think he plays extremely well. He makes plays here and there. Sometimes he overpredicts, but I think he just takes advantage of an opponent's misplay. So if you don't misplay against him, then you can break him down a little easier. But if you make a misplay, like Frank got greedy, and that was his misplay with Toxicroak, and he was able to take advantage of that. I think if Frank didn't misplay his Toxicroak, the game turns out differently. But, he just, some of his close ones that should have been losses, he takes advantage of those, misplays, and, to be in that position and to take advantage of that, makes him very dangerous, and it forces you to think about the play you're going to make basically every time, because one slip up and that just gives his team just running through yours.
Yeah, it gives him the opportunity to sweep, and he has so many mons to do it. Latios, Keldeo, Suicune, obviously, Volcarona. Yeah, he has a really, really impressive team. I think if given the chance, he can definitely go all the way.
So I mean, but his next 2 games are must wins.
Yeah.
For him.
If he was to lose both, I'm pretty sure he's out.
His differential would go down, and depending on your game against Bloom.
Yeah, that'll decide it. Yeah.
That'll decide whether his game against Bloom is important or not. But he has to beat 6 Pass. Otherwise, a loss to 6 Pass puts him in the same boat as 6 Pass, and almost in your boat as well. But we'll go over it a little later.
Yeah. We move on to number 2, FC Barcelona, coached by your boy Joey. He beat us again, not much to say. He had a great team matchup, and he didn't have to do anything scary. He didn't have to do anything cheeky, and but he has 2 next games are against Swishy and North? Frank. Which will be interesting. Hopefully one of them can maybe do something, but it's hard to vote against Joey. It's hard to.
I mean, we'll go over it a little bit later, but
yeah.
I think me winning out. I mean, it doesn't do anything against Frank, but it helps out those in it helps out everyone else chasing the playoffs. If the guy who's almost guaranteed playoffs knocks somebody else out of the race. Essentially. So I think one more win, and I take first or second. Yeah.
You're guaranteed playoffs anyway.
I'm not guaranteed at this moment, but one win out of the next 2 guarantees me first or second place. But
yeah. We move on to Richmond. Richard, my fears.
I also want to mention too, 5 minutes before we battled, I did a little calc and realized that specially defensive Steelix. You don't have anything that could even 2-shot me with especially defensive Steelix when I made it. So
against me?
Yes.
Yeah.
fact that you brought special Dragonite instead of physical basically guaranteed my Steelix was just gonna sit in there and it wouldn't die until I let it die.
Well, I mean, missing a Leaf Storm kind of sucks, but yeah, I know what you mean.
It wasn't gonna do much, and Dragon Tail. I think I Dragon Tailed that turn as well. So
I would have gone to healer.
You would have gotten the boosts and then got Dragon Tailed right out. So.
Yeah, no, I know that, but it is what it is. It is what it is.
And then top spot, Zach Richmond Rhyperiors. They crept up on 6-pass last week. It was a little controversial as to whether they should be first or not, but I mean now they are.
I think they should.
Undisputed this week, for sure. You know, they aren't guaranteed playoffs because they still have to play second and third place in their conference with, you know, more people coming up. But you know, if that just because that's the case, I still wouldn't want to play them.
Oh God, no. Yeah, so with that being said, we'll just take a look at the standings very quickly. Team Magma, Zach is in first, Dork is in second, Craft in third, Cubchoo followed in fourth, Jay in fifth, Pant in sixth, Zen is in seventh, and Steven, good as always, in eighth. In Team Aqua, we have Joey in first, Orson in second, Six Pads in third, Bloom at fourth, Swishy at fifth, me at sixth, seventh is Zoo, and North, or Zoo as in Frank Zuetsky, and eighth is North. So taking a look at Magma really quick, there's a few things that might happen. Right. So Joey, take it away.
Well, the 6th through 8th in their conference is out. Mathematically, It cannot happen.
It's impossible. Yeah.
The longest, I think the long shot right now is Jay because he has to win both of his, and then he has to hope for a little help. But his next week opponent is let me just check here real quick. Have it. Yes, he has Doruk next week, which if he takes a win there, then Doruk drops down. He also needs Cubchoo
to lose, yeah.
Cubchoo doesn't have to lose next week, but Kraft plays Zach. So if Doruk and Kraft both take losses, that puts Jay one game behind the three people behind Cubchoo, Kraft, and Doruk. Then he wins his next one, and assuming Zach wins, Zach would knock somebody else down below at his level, and Kraft and Cubchoo, one of them would knock them down to his level, and if he gets 2 wins and a good enough differential, he might be able to get
I
through.
still think it's very, very.
Yes, he is the furthest outside, trying to go in, but you know, it's not like this, like this needs to happen, this needs to happen, this needs to happen, this.
He just needs to get lucky. He just needs to beat both of his opponents and then hope that someone beats this and this and this.
Yeah, he needs to hope. Like his hope is that Zach stays on the top of his game
and then just wipes everyone else out.
Like does well. He needs to win his 2, and then I think he needs Kraft to beat Cubchoo in the final week.
Yeah, which might not even happen because Jay still has to beat Doruk. That all depends on that Doruk, and Doruk is Doruk, you know?
Yeah, Doruk can come in and play really hot next week, or he can play really bad, so you never know about that. But he still has a very good chance. But the reason I say Cubchoo having Cubchoo lose instead of Kraft is if Doruk loses his last 2, I think that knocks his differential down pretty far.
Yeah.
And then Cubchoo would also need to, like, the Cubchoo's differential needs to drop, and Doruk or Kraft's differential need to drop as well, and Jay needs to get a higher differential. I think his differential might be the biggest thing that holds him back.
Yeah.
If 2 of the top 3 or 2 of the 3 teams ahead of him get down to 4 losses.
Yeah.
So,
he could definitely do it, but again, it's a long shot. Cubchoo can definitely make it as long as he just wins his next 2 games. Like, I believe he Kraft, and he plays, like, someone lower. I think he plays Zen.
He plays Kraft week 10, and he plays Zen week 9. So he needs to just contain any potential upsets from Zen, and then beat Kraft, and that should get him in.
Yeah, because as long as he beats Kraft and has hopefully Like as hopefully, sorry, Kraft, but as if he beats him by a big enough score, like if he was to 3 or 4 or that put him in a really good spot.
Oh no, he doesn't have to do that because Kraft plays Zach week 9.
Yeah.
So assuming Zach wins over Kraft, that would
Cubju
put
just
them
needs to win.
even,
Cubju
that
just
would
needs
put
to
him
beat.
even on the score line there, and then he beats Kraft and he sends Kraft down below him on the overall record.
But you're going again, going back to the last thing. If Koju somehow gets upsetted by Zen, you know that's out the window as well.
That throws our entire.
Yeah.
That'll be for next week.
Which can something like Pant, Zen, and Steven can really mess up someone's playoff
Yep.
chances, which would be funny.
They definitely can.
Which Steven plays Jay, so again, this might Zach is pretty much true. I feel as long as he wins one.
I think maybe just winning one will get him in. I think he still wants to probably win both of them.
Just a guaranteed number one, yeah.
Just to get getting that bye week the first week and just seeing what their opponents do if they play safe in playoffs and must win games like that, or if they go really crazy, kind of helps you figure out what it is. And they've already played, everyone will have already played each other in their conference once, so it'll help him figure out more information about his opponent without giving anything away. So that's what I think the first place does. Kraft
is interesting.
Kraft plays
Koju and Zach.
Yeah, so he plays
if he beats both of them, he's in for sure.
Oh, I think he just needs to beat Cubchu, honestly.
Yeah, that's what he was telling me. He says as long as he beats Cubchu, he's in. He said he can lose to Zach and still be okay.
Yeah, he can still lose to Zach, but if he beats Zach, then I think even a loss to Cubchu might still allow him to get in, simply because if he beats Zach, that puts his differential up to at least 11. So then he just has to contain his differential against Cubchu to the point where his differential will be higher than Cubchu's.
Yeah, I do. I see you. Yeah.
So both of these, he has to win at least one of them for the next week. But I think the more important one for him would be against Cubchu. I think he might look at that one as an easier of the two tests.
Definitely. And
not saying anything against Cubchu per se, but Zach is, he lost week 1 and then he's won every game since.
And even that was a 1-0.
Yeah, and he beat Cubchu as well the previous week, so
he beat me.
He's beaten a lot.
He's beaten a lot of people.
Doruk needs to win his last 2 and he's in. Who
does he play?
He has to win one of his 2. He plays Jay and then he plays Zach. So
He could lose to Zach and still be okay, I think.
Yeah, I think if he wins next week, I think that gets him in.
Yeah.
Because his differential is just so high that I don't think Cubju can make it up. Doruk's differential is 14 and Cubju's
is 1. Yeah.
So,
it's all up to Kraft really for Cubju. Like that's the only thing.
I think Kraft is the one that Jay and Cubju both have to look at knocking down.
And meanwhile, Steven has the 17-0 Jay. Hopefully he can come through.
Divine intervention, Steven.
You watch it, man.
All right.
Do you want to move on to Gakwa?
Yeah, I think that pretty much sums it up. We'll talk about it again, and I'll put a blog post out there.
Yeah. We'll probably do like a week 10 like preview and stuff. What has happened? But we'll move on to Team Aqua, and again as we always do. Remember 7 and 8. Frank and North cannot make playoffs.
Yeah, the thing about our conference is we have 6 instead of 5 teams that can still make playoffs,
which is fucking insane.
It definitely adds to it. As you see there, Aggron, you have 1 differential, which is holding you at the bottom of the 4-way or the
so
3-way.
Annoying.
Swishy's on 4, Bloom is on 7, and then Six Paths has a 7 differential, but he's got one game better than you guys, which actually helps you out because any loss of his and a win from yours.
Yeah, like I said, Six Paths and Sorensen play each other, which is literally perfect because one of them has to lose. So yeah.
But I mean, if Sorensen loses, all right. So we'll talk about you first. We'll go.
Okay.
Should we start from the bottom or should we go?
Started from the bottom. Now we at the top.
Bam, bam.
I think it might actually be easier to just get mine out of the way. I need
Yeah,
to
okay,
win,
yeah.
I need to win one of my last 2 games, and I'm in. I play Swishy, and then I play Frank. My differential is high, is very high, so that I don't think
I am so high.
I don't think the if I win one of my 2, I don't think I'm gonna drop to 3rd.
There's no way.
I
don't see it at all.
So there's that.
Sorsen?
Sorsen plays 6 Pass and Bloom, so he has to win. I think one of those 2. I don't think beating 6 Pass guarantees him the playoff. I think beating Bloom is a little bit bigger for him, just because Bloom is his closest challenger, really, for his playoff spot. So if he beats Bloom week 10, then he's set. Because from what I see right now, Bloom is probably the closest challenger to him at this moment. Like, not saying anything against you or like
Yeah.
or Swishy, but Sorsen, the only person who can physically, like, who can play him and affect his, like, record and his ability to get in is Bloom. You know what I mean? So I think he has to beat Bloom, and that essentially guarantees him in. 6 Pass plays Sorsen, and then he plays North, so he has to beat Sorsen. A loss to Sorsen puts him in a terrible position. And then, you know, if North comes in and beats him, or holds him to a very low differential, that like a loss to Sorsen just, like, that will be the nail in the coffin. Because I feel like North, his final week, he could definitely hold the differential low, or he could even win it. So that could definitely be a problem for him.
Yeah.
Bloom needs to win his last 2.
Definitely, yeah.
He plays you. So if he beats you, that keeps his differential high.
As long as he beats Sorsen, I think he has a good shot.
Yeah. Well, the thing is his differential is 2 games off from Sorsen and 1 off from Sorsen.
Why you didn't turn it?
One sec.
Oh, Jesus.
That's enough.
But yeah, so Bloom definitely has to win his last 2 games, like Joey was saying. He plays me. If he loses to me, I think he's out. I'm pretty sure, because even if he beats Sorsen, like he knocks Sorsen off the top, which, you know, might help someone else. But if he loses to me, he can't go through. If I lose to Bloom, I can't go through. So that game. Why did Joey say that? I'm so nervous now. And only one of us can have a chance.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah. I kind of took over what you're saying. Me and Bloom is such an important match.
Yeah. So, I mean, Bloom, if he wins his last 2, he puts Sorsen in a 6-2. Or if he wins his last 2, he goes 5-3, and then either 6 Pass loses and he takes over on differential.
Yeah.
And then then he has to play Sorsen, and if he beats Sorsen,
if he beats me and Sorsen, he's definitely through.
Oh yeah, he's definitely in, but he has to win those 2. Like, he can't afford to drop either of those games. But if he wins both of those, he's definitely in.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that knocks off 6 Pass. And then Sorsen beats 6 Pass and then loses to Bloom, I think that means Bloom and Sorsen are in 2nd, 3rd place. Doesn't really matter at that point because they're both going to play each other.
Yeah. So, Swishy has an interesting one. Because if she beats you, that is really good for her, obviously. It doesn't matter too much to you, I don't think. But then she also plays a Bloom? No, no.
You.
She plays me! I forgot! She plays me, of course! Yeah, so she plays... Yeah.
So what she has to hope for is 6 Pass to kind of slip up, Bloom to lose one of his, and then she has to win her last 2.
So if I was to beat Bloom, Sorsen was to beat 6 Pass, and she was to beat...
me
and you, both of us.
Yes.
Then she goes through. That's the only way I really see it. Like, that's the only way, I think.
and then kind of reverse those roles for you.
Yeah, yeah.
So you and Swishy both need a lot of help from the outside, but
Yeah. There's still a chance.
I mean, the scary thing about her is that Sorensen can still win his last 2 games, so I still have a lot to play for next week.
Definitely.
So, I have to try and take advantage and win my. If I win my last 2, I get a bye, and a bye is actually something that's very useful.
Very important. Yeah. That's the definite semifinals.
Yeah, that's definite semifinals, and it gives me a read over what my opponent is doing, because there's games out there already of the previous, like the second, third place game. There's going to be that game, and then there's going to be the one they played in season, and I can see how they changed up their teams. You can see how they changed up their teams to just, kind of figure out, okay, this is what they did to try and mess with the mind games. So, you have a little bit of information about how they look to change up for that second game without giving away what you would do for your second game.
Yeah. So definitely, me and Swishy are probably the least likely to go through. Is it possible? Of course it is. Who would you say is more likely, me or Swishy? I feel like it's me only because Swishy plays you.
Yeah, I think you... Well, the thing is you have a chance to knock off someone who's going for that same spot.
Yeah.
I feel like between Sorensen and Six Pass, one of those 2 is getting into the playoffs.
Yeah, I don't think both of them can. Well, they
So
might, but yeah.
So,
Joey.
one sec.
Yeah, it's gonna be very, very interesting. I don't see, I don't hear my voice.
For fuck's sake.
Yeah, so, I mean, you play Bloom. If you beat him, that knocks him up. That
Yeah. Bloom is out. And I'm out if he beats me, so we're the same camp.
Mm-hmm. So, that's why I just give you the advantage.
Yeah. So I think we're going to wrap it up there, guys, because we've really said all we got to say. We'll be back in a few days for the preview of Week 9. I'll just put up on the screen here so you know what's going on. But it's going to be definitely an interesting week. Come back for the preview, obviously, for the fire battles. And hopefully it goes well. So with that being said, it's all from Joey, all from Steven, all from me, Aggronix. If you guys want to check out stuff down below in the description, obviously ElysianUCL WordPress and music and stuff. And with that being said, I'm out of here, guys. I'll see you guys later. Bye-bye.